Where did the script go? A new season, a new challenge. Last year's champion returns, but this time he's brought his full team with him and they won't have it easy. The pros from the A class are now joining the AMs of the B class, raising the competition to a whole new level. At stake once again, the ultimate prize, a real-world F1600 test with Britain West Motorsports for both class champions. 8 rounds, 16 weeks, 1 goal. To be crowned the Toyo Tires F1600 Winter Series champion. And it all begins here, where we finished last season, at Road Atlanta. Fast, technical, demanding. This legendary circuit will test every ounce of skill, focus, and courage as we kick off the opening 3 races of the season. So buckle up, race fans. The engines are fired, the grid is set, and the chase for the championship begins now. This is the Toyo Tires F1600 Championship Winter Series presented by BIS, live from Road Atlanta. Welcome everyone to Pit Road Productions. I'm Reese Gardner. Alongside me is Morgan Smith. And we have Christian Delgado behind the scenes pressing all the buttons and bringing you these live pictures. Morgan, why don't you tell us a bit about the track for today's broadcast?
Yes, I am very excited about Road Atlanta here. We are going deep into the heart of Georgia here. Pardon me, Reese. Looks like we have a track length of around 2.5 miles, around 1 kilometers for anyone not on the Freedom units. 12 total turns here at Road Atlanta. Very exciting track, a lot of elevation change, big brake zones at the end of long straights with some good flowy sections in between those to really test the guys in these vehicles today. So I'm very excited for the track and to see these guys get around it. And with a roster like this behind the wheel, it should be very exciting today in Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely should. Road Atlanta doesn't just test your pace, it tests your nerve, your rhythm, and your resolve. And tonight, it's where our new season begins. The schedule for this championship is as follows. We're going to Road Atlanta for the first week of the championship, then Silverstone, the national layout for round 2, Phillip Island, my home race for round 3, going to a new track for round 4, the Mexico City Formula E circuit. Alton Park, Zandvoort, Motorsport, and Brands Hatch will round out the 8 rounds that we have to get going here. And, well, before we get into the grid, I think it should be time to have a look at what's on for tonight's race. The drivers have already been through open qualifying with 3 races on the cards today of about 15 minutes each. There will be a top 5 invert for the second race, and then sprint race 3. We will have a solid 15 minutes of action to go from there. It will be a top 10 grid invert for the third race. So let's see how things go here for the first round of this BIS F1600 Championship. The grid will be as follows. Drivers waiting now to get onto it. Mark McDonald, last season's champion, has qualified on pole position for the first race, with Mitchell Ian Green alongside him on the front row. Christian Muniz is going to start in third alongside Daniel Cranefus, with Clay Morris and Michael Broomhead on row number 3. Greg Seitz in 7th place, with Asad Nakadembev joining him on row number 4. Ozzie Milwane and John Benvalid will round out your top 10. Then Tyler Scarali starts in 11th alongside Ariane Pagadala, Sam Triantopoulos and Daniel Salmon. Our very own Zippy going to be starting in 14th place here at his favorite track. Robert Covey starts 15th alongside Wyatt Cormier, then Alex McLean and Richard Swindells on row number 9. Clovis Girard and Cedric O'Hyan round out the top 20. Then Nicholas Colander, also from Rust Racing, is going to start alongside Chad Chad Ritchie on row number 11. Jonathan Pekazin in 23rd place. Yona or Albert in 24th alongside Adam Greenspoon, and Matthew Mileman and Paul Casamajor round out the 27 cars getting ready to take to the start here. So we only have 30 seconds before the race officially starts, Morgan. What are you expecting?
I'm expecting some close racing. I'm eager to see, as always, with high caliber drivers like this, where they choose to make their passes. I think that's one thing that I'm the most excited about as the night develops, is really where the guys find their opportunities and where they try to, push each other's buttons and force those mistakes out of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be quite a difficult first round. You know, the drivers have all been preparing hard for this one, and we have a lot of reigning BIS champions here as well. Clay Morris just coming off winning the Formula 3 season. As we get ready to go here, green flag flies for the first race, and we are away. A solid start from Mark McDonald. He is going to keep Michelin Green behind him on the way into turn 1, despite a very good start from the number 7. And then into turn 1 we come. That's a big getaway from McDonald on the way out of the first turn here. Christian Menezes already pressuring Michelin Green for second place. Michael Broomhead, our league administrator, and also champion of Season 2, just jumping in there, managing to get himself into the top 5 with a bit of blinking along the way, as the green flag is officially away. And it seems that Mark McDonald, obviously a pro in these cars, is having a great time up the front, already breaking away from the rest of the field. I see Clovis Girard making up some spots behind. There's some 3 wide in the middle of the field, but a pretty clean start for those up the front. Looks like a bit of an issue for someone there coming through turn 6, and that's created a bit of a crush on the way out of turn 7. Ozzy Milwane, Daniel Cranefus. Oh, there's contact. Cranefus and Arian Pagadala coming together. That's the first big incident of the race right there, and that's not going to be ideal for either of them, Morgan.
Yeah, Reese, as this race got started, I was thinking to myself, these guys were not wasting any time getting in line and really just making use of the slipstream and getting the tires up to temperature. But as the turns developed, these guys were starting to push it here and, try to find a line here and there. And unfortunate consequences on the straight here for these guys, but their cars don't appear to be in too bad a shape.
Well, you say that, but Arian Pagadala's front left has been crushed inwards, so looks like he's going to have to go straight to the pits for repairs. And we have Daniel Cranefus out as well. Michelin Green has jumped into the pits as well. The number 7 who started out of second place. I don't know what's gone on there for the driver who started on the front row. Looks like there's a mechanical black flag for him. That's very interesting. Something's gone wrong for him that we obviously missed. He had to jump into the pits and get a fast repair.
Yeah, unfortunate series of events, Reese, but it is Heat 1. These guys have a long night ahead of them, so hopefully we can go out there, shake the rust off, and get some seat time in Atlanta and get ready for Heat 2 in the finale later on.
Looks like some netcode contact with Clay Morris on the way through 10A and 10B. So, yeah, that's a disastrous start to the season for Green there. But the draft is on now. The long back stretch here at Road Atlanta. Mark McDonald leading the way and moving towards the middle of the road. Wants to try and keep Christian Menezes behind him. Morris, Broomhead, and Asad Nikadembev joining him in that battle in the top 5. And Nikadembev, probably one of the best placed here to make a move. He's going to have the slipstream off all 4 cars ahead of him.
Yeah, getting the passing done here before you're at the top of the hill, going down into the S's is always beneficial. Sometimes anywhere from here up this hill can get a little sketchy as you go too wide. So talk to me, Reese, a little bit about the slipstream and as far as, going too wide with each other and killing some of that momentum that these cars need to carry around a big track like this.
Well, Road Atlanta is all about momentum, of course. A lot of high-speed corners around here, and it's especially important to really manage the mechanical grip of these cars, because mechanical grip is all they've got. No wings on these single-seaters, and the tires have a bit of tread to them as well, so not as much grip as you'd expect. They do dart around quite a bit though, so precision is key. It's very easy to pick up off tracks and very easy to make mistakes, as looks like side by side now for second place, Christian Menezes and Clay Morris coming together briefly into turn 6. This gives the chance to Nakatembev. He's already moved his way up to 4th, and he could be going for 2nd, maybe even the lead as they come down to 10A and 10B. Look at the momentum that Nakatembev is carrying here in the slipstream. He's going to go up the inside.
Good, safe decisions from everyone still so far. Still too wide here, pushing out to the outside curve up the hill. Looks like he is going to make away in P1 with a good gap headed in here to the final straight. So good move on him, and we'll see if the other guys can manage to get in that slipstream and get back up there.
Yeah, looks like it's already being picked up by Greg Seitz, who was not part of Rust Racing last season, though he was champion. He did bring the team's championship of Reboot Racing to the fore last season, so it's a very interesting pickup there from Rust Racing to get one of the front runners from last season on board with them. Meanwhile, looks like the lead has fallen to Asad Nakatembev, and Michael Broomhead spins out of turn 5 behind. See that smoke over the hill? That's Broomhead spinning around over the very bumpy exit of turn 5. Morgan, you've driven plenty of laps around this circuit. You know as well as anyone that turn 5 is one of the most difficult corners of this track.
Yeah, unfortunately, I will say there's no real solution other than seat time on that curb. You really just got to figure it out and kind of learn how the car you're driving wants to handle over it. The fastest line, unfortunately, is up over the bump, and it's dangerous every lap. So Road Atlanta is good for, at least once keeping you honest every time around the track, and I think that's what makes it one of the top tracks, honestly.
Well, Asad Nakatembev trying his best to keep the lead here, but there's been a bit of an exchange through 10A and 10B. Clay Morris has moved through to 3rd, and it looks like Greg Seitz ended up getting some contact. He lost the position on the podium. Surely not going to go 4 wide into turn 1. Let's keep it calm, guys. It may only be a 10-lap race, but we do still need a bit of care taken here. Nakatembev wide out of the first turn, and McDonald's going to come back up the inside into turn 3. Manages to get the move done nicely, but Nakatembev will be right back on the attack, Morgan. It's a crucial move here for McDonald, but now we have a few more drivers joining the battle. It looks like John Benverlit and Ozzy Milwane have made themselves a part of this fight.
Reese, I'm no specialist in these cars. I would consider myself a rookie to the list of drivers like this out of BIS, but I do know good racing when I see it, and these cars aren't the biggest, the fastest, or the flashiest, but these guys are driving the wheels off of them in some top-notch moves, and just going too wide like that so casually is incredible. These guys are really pushing these cars to the limit right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, very tiny machines, these F1600s, so there's plenty of space around the track to get it done. That's a big dart to the inside there from Christian Menezes. The 295 is not going to find a way through, because cutting in front of him is Clay Morris on the way down to the braking zone, trying to... well, he's getting boxed in a little bit there as Nakatembev is back to the lead once again. I think these trades are going to be made multiple times over the next few laps. But when you get onto the straight on the final lap, you do not want to be the driver in front.
Yeah, it is going to be pretty interesting to see how they sort themselves out over the last couple of laps. Maybe even some lifting of the throttle to make some of those decisions and put themselves in the right spot. Fighting not to be in first is kind of like golf with reverse scoring, so that's going to be exciting at the end here with the draft.
That it is. Things calming down for the top 3 into turn 3, but Ozzy Milwane is trying his best to make an upset of that. He almost made contact with Seitz into the first corner there, or into turn 3, sorry. That's quite a bit of gravel being thrown up by Christian Menezes. He was massively wide through turn 5, side by side behind again. Ozzy Milwane versus Clay Morris for that 5th place. Don't forget, race 2 has a top 5 grid invert, so we should keep a very close eye on that 5th place.
That is one thing I always like when I come to BIS to do a show with you guys, is the reverse grid and the multiple heats. it is very exciting to see how the guys sort themselves out, see some of those guys that fought their way through the grid maybe on the first race, really turn around and have to do it again in the second race. So it's always exciting here at BIS.
Yeah, for those of you who have been watching us for a while with the various series that BIS puts on, the crew of drivers here is not afraid to get their elbows out and race hard but clean. And it looks like this is, I mean, it feels a bit like a powder keg at the moment because they're 3 wide on the way into turn 1. McDonald on the inside, Nakadenbev in the middle. And they work themselves out there. Sorry, no, that's Seitz that's led on the way in. McDonald is the green car. The orange one being Greg Seitz there. McDonald, unfortunately, stuck on the inside of turn 3 there, lost all of his momentum, and he has fallen back now to 5th place, but that is pole position for race 2, so if he stayed there, it wouldn't be the end of the world. There was a tiny bit of a breakaway happening for Seitz and Nakadenbev, but it seems like Menezes is keeping them very honest indeed on board here with McDonald through turn 6. A little bit of banking through that right-hander. You can carry so much speed through it, but this is the most important part of the circuit, the acceleration onto the back straight. Well, it looks to me like this is the closest fight on track at the moment for the lead. The rest of the field has spread out quite a bit. Daniel Salmon and Paul Casamajor are the only other battle on circuit for 18th and 19th, but this is really getting interesting now. Nakadenbev spins, and there's the pile-up. That's what we were waiting to happen there. Greg Seitz and Asad Nakadenbev making contact through turn 10B, and it looks like that might have taken Ozzy Milwain and Mark McDonald with them. Contact through 10B, and that is very unfortunate. It looked like Nakadenbev was trying to go for the apex, maybe not aware that Seitz was up his inside at that point. Unfortunately, that has just completely changed the face of our top battle here. Clay Morris and Christian Menezes are now a breakaway for the top 2. Alex McLean moving into P3 out of nowhere. Mark McDonald in 4th, and John Benvalid of Lima Racing is now rounding out the top 5, Morgan.
Absolutely, Reese. The patience of some of these mid-pack drivers has really paid off here. Kind of a devastating event for the lead pack there, but I'm glad to see those guys able to squeak their car back into the pits and hopefully get a little more seat time before Heat 2 and they come back and try to fight their way through the grid.
Right, here we go then. Mitchell, Ian Green and Jonathan Becazen also fighting over P12 as we're about to reach the penultimate lap. This is starting to get interesting here for these 3. Looks to me like there's plenty of racing now going on further back in the field. Nicholas Colander ahead for Rust Racing. He's managed to work his way into 11th place, and Green here has had plenty of adventures in the race thus far. Obviously getting that mechanical black flag off the end of the first lap. Colander with one of the better gains through the field here, started 21st and up to 11th as we will see Mitchell Ian Green make his way back into 12th place. Unfortunately, he's not going to have much of a chance to break into that top 5 unless multiple crashes happen here in the last 2 laps. But it's been a reasonable recovery, especially with all the problems that drivers have been having so far.
As I mentioned earlier, Reese, I'm no professional when it comes to the open wheel race cars. So, you know, for a GT guy like myself, it seems like there's little to no margin out there. Even some bump drafting, as we see on screen now, that's above my pay grade. So it's a pleasure to watch. I'm happy to be a part of it. You know, some tough events for some drivers, but I'm glad to see as much good racing as there was. And I think the night is young when it comes to competitive laps out here. I think we're going to see bigger and better battles as the night develops.
Daniel Cranifus, the new fastest lap holder. And Daniel, unfortunately, is all the way down in 20th place at the moment, which is far from ideal. So we'll see if he can make some kind of recovery in the last lap or so of this race. Speaking of the last lap, it would appear that we are on it at the moment. Clay Morris and Christian Menezes still fighting over the lead here through the S's. And into turn 5, this is one opportunity to get a move done on your rival, but I think it would be a lot wiser to try and go for the move at 10A and 10B. Alex McLean and Mark McDonald are still waiting in the wings here. If there's contact between our leaders, that's going to be a big change indeed. But I think Mark McDonald would be happy to stay in 5th place because that will grant him pole position for race number 2. Slipstream is on down the back stretch, and Christian Menezes now moving past Clay Morris with a great slipstream, huge momentum down the back straight and into 10A and 10B. It looks like there won't be much of a challenge from Clay Morris. He is going to get on the brakes as hard as he possibly can, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough here. All it's going to take is one wrong move from Menezes and he'll lose the win here, but time is rapidly running out. Across the line they will come, and it's side by side for the lead across the line, but Menezes gets it and gets the fastest lap on the way through as well. Brilliant job from Christian Menezes, keeping it clean, staying out of trouble, and he takes first blood for the Toyo Tires F1600 Winter Series season. Mark McDonald, meanwhile, finishing in P5. That will grant him pole for race 2. So he'll start from pole twice tonight, but has yet to take a win.
A good ending to a rather exciting race, Reese. I know the last couple laps with some big incidents kind of got the grid spread out, but those last two putting on a show for us for the last couple laps, and it looks like the rest of the guys here are following suit.
So this being a heat server, we're going to transition straight over to the next race. So I don't think we'll go through the results necessarily. It's just the top 5 being inverted for race 2, and then there's the grid. So everyone else outside of the top 5 will be starting where they finished. So I think that will be our opportunity to see where everyone finished up. But we shall see what kind of recoveries Greg Seitz, Asad Nakadambev, Aussie Mill Wayne as well. Mark McDonald, Mitchell Ian Green as well. Many of our top competitors here that have unfortunately fallen by the wayside in race 1 thanks to that incident at 10A and 10B. Well, this is going to be the second of our races here today, and starting in pole position for race 2, it is Mark McDonald. He's got Alex McLean alongside him on the front row. We will have Michael Broomhead, Clay Morris, and Christian Menezes. And hang on a minute, is something? Christian Menezes rounding out the top 5 there. Yes, indeed. John Benvalid is going to start out of P6 there. Clovis Girard managing to grab P7, and Robert Covey with a great run up to P8 thanks to the dramas happening up ahead. Richard Swindells and Cedric O'Hyan will round out your top 10. Mitchell Ian Green, 11th place, and he has got potential for a podium from here, starting alongside Nicholas Colander, who elevated himself up from 21st. Jonathan Pekaisen from 23rd to 13th in race 1. Greg Seitz and Asad Nakadambev, they were 7th and 8th for race 1, but will start 14th and 15th for race number 2. Aussie Mill Wayne will start out of 16th place alongside Asad Nakadambev. Adam Greenspoon and Daniel Salmon, 17th and 18th. And then we have the top 20 rounded out by Arian Pagadala and Daniel Cranifus. Then outside the top 20, Paul Casamajor was the last car to finish on the lead lap in race 1. Sam Triantopoulos alongside him. Tyler Scaralli and Chad Ritchie on row 12. Then we have Wyatt Cormier, Yona or Albert, and Matthew Mileman starting out of the very last grid spot. It looks like all 27 drivers are going to be taking to the start of race 2 once again. And this shall be where the money is made, especially in the battle for P10. If you finish 10th in this one, you're going to get pole position for the start of race 3. Oh boy, let's get things going again here. Well, Mark McDonald, he sees a clear track ahead of him for the second time tonight, but will he be able to see it by the end? That is the question. Green flag flies, and we are away. A solid start from our leader. It looks like Michael Broomhead might have gotten a little more momentum off the start there as they move into turn 1 for the first time. Reasonably clean start from pretty much everyone, and I'm not seeing any big incidents happening through turn 1. Everyone's giving each other a good amount of space. Broomhead moving into second place. He's put Alex McLean back to third, and now Clay Morris, the reigning BIS F3 champion, is going to try and make the move here. He is going to find his way into P3. Alex McLean is dropping down the order as they come down to turn 5. He is offline. And through that opening sequence of S's, that's a big issue. Benvalid, I think, was the one who went off at turn 5 there. He is descending down the order, down to 12th now.
McLean continues to be off pace. It was Benvalid, in fact, recent with the unfortunate series of events on the same curb we talked about in Heat 1. McLean just keeps getting boxed out, unfortunately, and pushed off the line. So tough start for him, but we'll see if he can, bring it up to pace and get the tires warm and get back involved.
Yes, obviously these cars are starting with no tire warmers and tires at ambient temperature, so it takes a bit for them to really heat up. Nobody told Michael Broomhead that, though. Champion of the second season of the series moves to the lead on Alex McLean and on Mark McDonald. Sorry, with Clay Morris and Christian Menezes trailing him here for the top of the field. There's a lot of racing going on outside the top 5 as well, but it looks like there's going to be a bit of a breakaway here for our front 4 drivers. Clovis Girard is all on his lonesome in P5 meanwhile. At the end of the first lap, it seems that Alex McLean is now trying to mount some kind of attack again. He is side by side with Robert Covey coming into turn 3, and there's an angry pack of cars right behind them. Cedric O'Hyan, Asad Nikadambev, Mitchell Ian Green also fighting his way a bit further up. Look at this fight here. It's closed out by Asad Nikadambev and Richard Swindells. Through turn 5 they come. The
Covey was doing great on the defense there, but managed to touch some dirt and lose a little speed. So McLean managed to make it happen, and now Covey's getting pushed out wide again here.
Certainly is. Oh, there's contact. Oh, there's contact out of turn 7. It looks like everyone managing to keep it rolling forward, but that's far from ideal for Nikadambev. He's going to lose all of that momentum, and here comes Greg Seitz, who should have been on the podium by rights in race 1. They are 4 wide down the back straight. Seitz is the one who finds his way through to the inside, geometric fastest line through that blend to the right. 3 wide again on the way into the chicane, and off the circuit goes Mitchell Ian Green. And he will end up finding his way a bit further back. Actually, I think that was Swindells that went off. My apologies. Swindells was the one going across the gravel trap there. And, well, we always can rely on Richard Swindells for an interesting livery. He has got Zippy on his car there. If you take a very close look, just underneath the roll hoop. Very interesting indeed. But here we go then. Starting the third lap of this race, and we've already had quite a bit of movement up and down this field. McDonald thus far is, I think, the only driver to hold on to the position he started in up front. Swindells, meanwhile, wide again, and, well, we'll see Zippy join him here, side by side, between Richard Swindells and Daniel Salmon, and Zippy's trying around the outside of turn 6. He's going to just about get it done. Swindells yields on the way into turn 7. Very nice move from the man who would be joining us in the commentary box today, but this is Road Atlanta, so he's going to drive. No one's going to stop him.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this race checks too many boxes for him not to be in a seat race in the car, so.
Well, Richard Swindells is going to try and fight back on him here. These guys are now fighting over 13th place. Who's going to finish lucky 13th in this one? An incident ahead will certainly grant them extra positions. Bit of gravel being thrown onto the racetrack from the various incidents that have taken place through that section. The fastest lap moving to Mark McDonald there in the lead of the race. It seems like everything's calmed down up the front of the field here. Broomhead, Morris and Menezes are continuing to follow our reigning series champion on his way down through the S's. That's wide for Clay Morris, and it almost saw Menezes go for the move, but really, Morgan, that S's section at Road Atlanta is one line fits all.
Yeah, it does seem to be testing these guys tonight with the vehicles there, the S-curves. Broomhead's doing a great job at staying with the leader, but we're not seeing nearly as many positions changes as we saw in Heat 1. So I'm not sure if the guys are being a little bit more reserved with their driving, or if the leader is really just bringing the pace today.
Well, Mark McDonald is consistently one of the fastest drivers in this category of car at BIS, so we can always rely on him to be competitive up the front. They're starting to come up to some lap traffic already. It looks like that's Nicholas Colander. Colander spending 36 seconds in the pit box to repair some damage sustained from the opening laps, and he's going to let our leaders by no problem. He actually executed that quite well. He's going to stick in their slipstream for the time being and try his best to follow them. Maybe make some gains. That's going to be difficult to do through the final corner. And it would appear we are approaching the halfway point of this one. McDonald solidly in the lead, but everyone behind him will be looking for that chance. Road Atlanta is really a track of two halves, Morgan. You got this really flowing, twisty first part of the track where passing is difficult, and then you got the long straight that defines the second half of this circuit.
Yeah, it is one of my favorite Reese. It's one of the best tracks overall for me. I really enjoy the flow state that Atlanta brings with the longer stints here in the endurance racing. I know a lot of people feel the same way about Le Mans, but for me, it's tracks like Atlanta that do that. So it's very exciting. For me, the first part of the track is absolutely top-notch racing for me. I'm not a huge fan of slipstream and straight line racing, so anything with S-curves and elevation like that is right up my alley, and I'm right at home here in Atlanta.
Yes, I think many of the drivers would agree with you. Road Atlanta's always a highlight of a BIS season. Broomhead picking up the slipstream, speaking of, from Mark McDonald, draws alongside into the braking zone for 10A and 10B, and he will be ahead. McDonald isn't going to fight that one too hard. He knows that there's more chances for him to gain that back. So let's see what kind of response we'll see from Clay Morris and Christian Menezes as well. There's plenty of opportunities left as we are officially past half race distance now, beginning the 6th lap of 10. And McDonald will continue being right up the rear crash structure of Broomhead. He'll be pressuring him as hard as he can. So that's the battle for the lead for the moment. Let's check in with battles further back. The battle for 5th is really closed up. Alex McLean was on his own in P5, but it looks like Seitz, Nakadambev, and Clovis Girard are catching up to him. Actually, Girard was the one all alone in 5th earlier, so he's fallen back to 8th. And Daniel Kranifus is not too far behind him. See the yellow car in the background. Another driver for Rust Racing this season. There's a move. That's Asad Nakadambev up the inside of Greg Seitz in turn 6, and he'll complete the move through turn 7. But will he get the power down properly? It looks like Seitz was able to do the over-under a little bit there, but neither of them have much in the way of slipstream. That's going to give the mother of all drafts to Clovis Girard. And we'll see if he can make his way back into 6th place from that. The slipstream is incredibly strong in these F1600s. Picks up the slipstream first from Nakadambev and then from Seitz, but then the gap narrows in the middle, and there's nowhere for Clovis Girard to go. He has to let Nakadambev back through. I think that was very smart driving there from Clovis. He could have gone for the dive, but decided not to, and he will live to fight another day. Kranifus is going to get past him in the final corner there, but it's certainly not over.
Absolutely not. Girard has fallen a little bit off pace the last couple of laps, but he is managing to stay in the slipstream with these guys. little tough. I actually, Reese, when I checked in a few laps ago, I was wondering if something was going on with him. So I'm not quite sure, but he's driving safe and making good decisions, as you say. And the best race car is the one you can put on the trailer and bring home with you that you don't have to fix. So no arguments out of me.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like Gerard might have backed off here in the S's, and that's going to give half a chance to Mitchell Green. But interesting to note, that's going to be the battle for 9th and 10th. Mitchell Green currently sits in P10. That's going to be pole position for the start of race 3. I wonder if this is a tactical slowing up from Gerard to ensure that he finishes 10th and gets the pole.
That makes me raise an eyebrow, Reese. Maybe I'll have to flip through the rule book later and check in on these finer details of these race tactics going on out here.
Oh, I don't think there's any rule against it necessarily. Mitchell Green is deciding, no, I am not going to go for the move here, Clovis. I'm going to stay in P10. I'm going to stay in pole position for race 3. This will be a fun one for sure. Let's see how that one works out. Menezes, meanwhile, has moved into the lead, and looks like McDonald, Broomhead, and Morris will continue to follow along here. I get the feeling this is a powder keg situation once again. Once we get onto the final lap, this lead battle is going to explode. It's moving a bit slow at the moment, but the pace will certainly quicken as time goes on, as we make our way through to the last couple of laps of this race. Meanwhile, check in with Zippy again, I reckon. Running P11 now, having made up a couple of places. Richard Swindells has been left behind by Zippy and is joined by Cedric O'Hyan of Lima Racing. And Cedric O'Hyan is one of Zippy's favourite people, but unfortunately, Richard Swindells, also one of our favourite people here at Pit Road Productions, has gone a cropper through turn 5. And once again, that 5th turn up the hill, Morgan, Swindells is going to retire from that one. That's a real shame. Yeah, turn 5 claiming another victim. It's a lot more difficult than it looks.
It does seem to be the ultimate test of the Formula Ray 1600 tonight. I'm not sure where the guys are losing it. Maybe we'll get a closer look here. A little bit of wiggle, so maybe it's the back breaking loose and they're trying to fix it with the front. And
that was Benvalid going for a spin there. So Swindells, yeah, across the curb. And I mean, you need to use all of that area outside the racetrack. You can put your car on it and you'll be faster if you do, but those bumps, you get your steering angle just slightly wrong, it's going to completely ruin you. That's exactly what happened to Richard Swindells there. So there will be no finish for the number 16 in this one. He'll be starting from all the way down the back for race 3. The fight for the lead then. Broomhead not getting out of turn 5 as quickly as he'd like, and now he'll fall under pressure from Christian Menezes. Mark McDonald still holding on to P1. Clay Morris has been waiting in the wings this whole time. I haven't seen him really challenge the top 3 pretty much all race. I think he's just waiting for that last lap opportunity.
I do think we're in for an absolute heater of a battle here in the last couple laps, as you said, Reese. These guys are really gearing up here to make something exciting happen before the final race here and make the most of Heat 2 for us.
Yeah, Morris is going to find a little pocket here outside into 10A and 10B. He at least makes his way past Menezes, and he's going to make his way past McDonald as well. Menezes tries the cut back there on the way out of 10B. And that's Clay Morris up into second, just in time for the white flag. Okay, so the question is, has Clay Morris pulled the trigger a bit too early on this? There's going to be the entire back straight to come for everyone to fight back against him. Broomhead will lead across the line.
I think Mark McDonald has put himself in a great position here in P4. He's got a whole lap ahead of him to make the most of the slipstream and make some good decisions on where to pass these guys. Hopefully the guys ahead of him get into some battles and let him capitalize on that as well.
All right, let's see then. Through turn 5, do they all keep it together? They certainly do. Who gets the best exit? Broomhead starting to skip away from the rest of the top 4 here. And I think if they get too involved with each other, they're going to let Broomhead get away with this one. It's all about the exit from turn 7, though. I think they might just be close enough for some slipstream. Broomhead Still under pressure here. And Clay Morris will be the one leading the charge down the back straight here. 10th and final lap. Who's going to get it done here? Into the chicane. All of them will want to go for this one. Morris has the slipstream on Broomhead, but Menezes has the slipstream on him. They're 3 wide. 4 wide for the lead. McDonald on the grass, and he's going to miss the braking point. Oh, and Morris and Menezes make contact. Broomhead gets away with that one. And Michael Broomhead is going to cross the line in P1. It's gotten even worse for Morris. He's out and upside down. Across the line comes the 00 of our league administrator, Michael Broomhead. Once again, staying out of trouble is what gets it done here.
Unbelievable finish, Reese. When you said it was going to be exciting the last couple laps, I did not expect that in the last couple corners. That was an absolute thriller.
It was, and guess what? Thanks to Clay Morris having his problems there, Daniel Salmon, Zippy, our very own here at Pit Road Productions, has finished 10th, and that's going to be pole for race 3.
You know what, Reese? He's the best looking traffic cone that's ever going to be in P1.
My goodness, I was not expecting that. This is going to be one heck of a final race, I'm sure. Well, we do have
definitely a good drive out of Zippy. He had a lot better race that race than race 1.
Yeah, certainly did. He blamed his murder in race 1 on me, and fair enough. A bit of a roast exchange before things went live for the second race, for the first race, sorry. But it's been a great recovery from him. So, looks like that's our opportunity here to go through the results. I think we're still waiting on Paul Casamager to make his way across the line. And yeah, he's just had a spin at 10A and 10B. It looks like he's going to be struggling across the line from there, finishing down in 23rd place. But in just a few seconds, we will have the opportunity to go through our full race results. So there you go. Michael Broomhead winning by 3 seconds in the end, but those numbers don't tell the full story. Christian Menezes, Mark McDonald will join him on the podium. Assad Nakadambev and Daniel Krenifus in 4th and 5th. McLean, Seitz, Gerard, Mitchell Green, and Daniel Salmon will round out your top 10. Cedric O'Hyan finishes in P11 ahead of Robert Covey, Tyler Scarelli, Wyatt Cormier, and Matthew Mileman. Great recovery from Mileman there, starting from dead last and getting 15th. Yona Oralbert going to start out as 16th for race 3. And Sam Triantopoulos behind him. Adam Greenspoon and Clay Morris, the last drivers to finish on the lead lap, and a real shame for Morris. He could have been in contention for the win there were it not for that big contact with Christian Menezes. John Benvalid rounding up the top 20. First car a lap down. He's joined by Nicholas Colander, Chad Ritchie, Richard Swindells, and Paul Casamager. Aussie Mill Wayne out 7 laps from the end, and it's the same for Ariane Pagadala and Jonathan Picazen. That is a real shame for all of those drivers involved in various shenanigans at the start of the race, and considering past form of all of them, they really should be in the top 10. But that's the thing about the F1600 Championship. Every single race is sheer chaos, and sometimes it's a bit of a lottery as to where you're going to finish.
Unfortunately, Reese, I think Road Atlanta is like that. We could go back to turn 5 and just reflect on those situations a little bit. The track's just as unforgiving. The cars are unforgiving. Racing's racing. Doesn't matter what car or track you're in. You could set up cones in a parking lot. As long as you push the vehicle you're driving, it's going to be exciting and mistakes will be had. And it's good to see just who can remain calm, who can capitalize under pressure. As we saw there in race 2, Broom had really to keep a level head on his shoulders tonight. Setting himself up good for the final race, unfortunately with the reverse grid, penalizing himself a little bit as well, but it should be exciting.
All right, well, now we are in warm-up, and it's time for us to step away for a second here at Pit Road Productions with a word from our title sponsor, Toyo Tires.
Lately, we haven't been doing as much. It hasn't been easy. We're ready to get back out there.
living life a day at a time.
Toyo Tires will be there,
Take a ride,
taking you where you want to go.
feeling free, happy and strong, on the road where we belong.
Toyo Tires, making tires for your road.
On the road where we belong.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, here we are then, getting ready for the final stanza of the opening song of this album that is the 2025 and 26 Toyo Tires F1600 Winter Series by BIS Sim Leagues. If you're just joining us, hello, I'm Reese Gardner, Morgan Smith alongside me in the comms box, and Christian Delgado behind the scenes, bringing you these live pictures. I gotta say, Morgan, quite a chaotic first part of this this season here. Race 1, weren't entirely sure where anyone was going to finish. Much the same in race 2, but I think there's a lot of lessons that have been learned from this this opening race. I think the drivers will be trying their best to give each other a bit more space, because it seems like netcode contact has really defined a few of these battles.
Absolutely. As a racer myself, I can say that the iRacing servers have been struggling a little bit with netcode lately. We watched good racing for 95% of both of those races, and then a complete flip of the script in the last lap or two. So I'm not quite sure what we're in store for in this last and final battle, but it's very exciting to, have the quality of racing even if we get to the last lap to flip the script again. So I'm eager to see the race start and watch this reverse grid get going.
Yes, indeed. As we mentioned, a top 10 invert for the start of race 3 from the finish of race 2. Two past champions racing in this season. Keenan Harris was the initial BIS F1600 champion, but it seems he is not here today, and whether or not he has a full season sign-up remains to be seen. Hopefully we can see him make a couple of appearances, but Michael Broomhead winning the 2022 and 2023 and 24 season, and Mark McDonald winning the 2024 and 25 championship. So a lot of form to back those guys up, but it's only Broomhead that's been able to take a win so far tonight. Okay, moving on. Well, we'll see Daniel Salmon take pole position for the third and final race of this night, and Zippy is a guest driver for this one. So it'll certainly be interesting to see if he can hold off these drivers that he's usually yelling at on the broadcast with us. For now, we'll see if Michael Broomhead has time for a chat with us. Mike, good to have you in the comms box with us once again. Start of a brand new season, and a really big grab as well with Toyo Tires coming on as the title sponsor of the series. This is turning out to be a big year for BIS.
Yeah, we got our official championships, both the Radical and F1600, the real life counterpart. We have a little bit of a deal going, Toyo Tires F1600 Championship up here in Canada. So we're really happy to get that connection going. And you get people like Christian Muniz out here who race in the real championship. Stuart Ross, who you know in BIS, he won that championship in real life. But he's not here yet. I'm hoping to persuade him. Usually we get Conor Geneteas and people like that as well. So real drivers mixing in with the sim guys and a few of the former drivers, such as myself. So it's a good lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, you've come away with the win in race 2. This has been quite the difficult round in terms of the top 5 battle. I think the drivers might need to give each other a bit more space in the race to come. It seems like Netcode has defined a few of these battles here.
Yeah, I'm giving a bit more space as well because I think I'm blinking a little bit, especially to Clay. So it's not going well in that area. But yeah, we just got to give more space. A few accidents, a few clips here and there. But I think everybody's having a lot of fun, and patience is the number one. But I'd like to thank Mimi for watching, and I appreciate everybody watching at home. This is going to be a fun one. Only 40 seconds till grid, so get going.
Yes, indeed. Best of luck, Mike, starting from P10 in the final race of the night. And Daniel Zippy Salmon is also in the comms box with us. Welcome, Zippy. I never thought I'd say this, but you've got pole. How do you feel about that?
Terrified.
Understandable.
Yeah.
If I was in your position, I'd be terrified too.
Yeah, we're going to put a couple of kittens up for adoption. If you'd like to adopt a cat, please contact Pit Road Productions Animal Sanctuary, home of broadcasters, commentators, and indeed kittens after this race start, ladies and gentlemen. But I've got to be honest, it's been a bit of a rough start, race 1. Race 2, definitely, I don't know how many positions I gained, but it felt like a lot. Definitely, I could have played for the Dodgers or something. I don't know. That might be a sore subject for anybody who lives in Canada. But, you know, there was some seriously evasive maneuvers. I felt like I was in Top Gun and I had my wingman right behind me. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough start. I think the draft is what's going to kill me. I'm just going to try and hold on as long as I possibly can and see if I can maybe land a podium, but a top 10 would be a good day.
Yeah, well, you're going to have 26 bogeys on your 6, Zippy, so hopefully the mission goes well. Best of luck. It's time for the 3rd and final race. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Reese.
Well, we'll leave Zippy to get prepared for the final race of the evening here, and the grid is as follows. Zippy is starting on pole position in the 659. He's got Mitchell-Ian Green alongside him with Clovis Girard and Greg Seitz on row number 2, Alex McLean and Daniel Cranifus on row number 3. In 7th, Assad Nikardenbev and Christian Muniz alongside him. Of course, real world driver making that start there. Mark McDonald and Michael Broomhead round out your top 10, and from there it's where they finished in race 2. It's a very short grid timer for this final race, so we won't have time to go through the rest of the grid. Revs are rising as we speak. Let's get things going then for the final race of the night here. Daniel Salmon on pole position and a clean start from him. He's managed to get the run going nicely, but the second phase at the start is belonging to Mitchell Green, who's going to draw wide on the way into turn 1. He will leave the door open for Clovis Girard, who briefly moves up into 2nd. We have Greg Seitz right there as well, looking to break into the top 3. They're 3 wide on the way into turn 3. Seitz moves up the inside, and what a great move that was from the Orange Cone Rust Racing machine. For the moment, it seems that Mitchell Green and Daniel Salmon are breaking away from the rest of the field, but is that going to be enough for them? Surely not, with how strong the slipstream is.
Hey, Zippy's a good friend of mine, and I like him a lot, but I don't think it's going to be enough to break away from a ferocious pack like that, Reese. So I think he's just biding his time and enjoying the fresh air while he can.
Yeah, indeed. Clear track ahead. Nothing but Road Atlanta itself to battle with. But Mitchell Green seems to have gotten a great exit out of turn 7 there as the field runs too wide behind. Still trying to sort out their positions. Hardest charger so far is Arjan Pagadala, who's broken into the top 20, up 7 places. There goes Mitchell Green past Daniel Salmon. Slipstream is on. And Zippy's going to try and fight him here into 10A and 10B, but he's going to have to yield on the way into the chicane there. It's very difficult to run too wide, as we've seen multiple times before tonight. So, end of lap 1. And Mitchell Green is in the lead on board here with Zippy, going to grab a little bit of curb there through the final corner. Got to wonder how quickly the rest of the field is going to catch them up. They do seem a bit more enamored with themselves right now, and they are costing each other a bit of time. Sykes, Krenifus, Nakadenbev, Moniz, and Gerard in race 2. A lot of gravel being thrown up out of turn 5. So, now comes the big difficulty for everybody here. Everyone is within a second of each other in the top 18, and you get the draft within a second.
You know, we did watch in Heat 2 Green making some tactical decisions about ending his race around that P10 mark to be in the front of the pack. So I am kind of wondering if he has the pace kind of in his back pocket here to maintain the lead here and kind of drive away with this. I think Zippy kind of landing in the middle of Green and the rest of the guys is unfortunately going to give them the draft they need to catch the leader as well. So I'm excited to see what Green can make of his evening's decision coming to really coming to a head here.
All right. End of lap 2. And that is going to be the quickest lap so far for Mark McDonald. 129.5 as Seitz and Krenifus battle through turn 1. Of course, the teammates at Rust Racing, they want to try and stay out of each other's hair a bit here. Rule number 1 of racing is don't hit your teammate. And they are giving each other a good amount of space, but Asad Nakadenbev is taking advantage. The young Carter, who recently has started racing in Spec Racer Ford competition as well. He's known for being quite the aggressive passer, and having been in a battle with him myself in these very cars at Bathurst earlier in the year, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can pull off. Because you always know he's going to try and go for it, especially if the driver in front makes a mistake, and the driver behind making a mistake as well. I think that was McDonald that ran a bit wide out of turn 7. But here comes Nakadenbev, picking up the slipstream from Krenifus up ahead. He's going to move past Seitz, and it looks like Christian Moniz is going to try his best to consolidate his way into this fight. Moniz mentioning in warm-up that he's very impressed by how accurate the drafting and race style is to the real-life championship he races in. So he's using all of his real-world experience here.
That is one outstanding thing about being around the BIS community, is having these real-world drivers, kind of replicate the real-world experience and pass that along to us guys that are only really stuck to our sim machines, for lack of better words.
Daniel Salmon has been caught by this pack now, and Zippy has to give up the position to Asad Nakadenbev into turn 3. Now he'll be under pressure from Seitz and Moniz as well. Mitchell Green out to a lead of 1.5 seconds, and these guys are going to have to start working together, I think, if they want to catch back up to him. You start getting the slipstream from about 1.5 seconds back at VMAX, but I think around Road Atlanta, it's going to be difficult to catch that slipstream unless you work together with those around you. So I think all of them have gotten the memo there. There's not much in the way of passing going on. But we'll see if Nakadenbev consolidates the move here on Daniel Krenifus. That's the gap for the lead right there. And we have quite the fight going on behind as well for P7. But there goes Nakadenbev past Krenifus. And there is no... Oh, is there going to be a move back? Oh, they try, but it's not going to happen. I'd be very interested to see what the lap times are like for these guys. How much time has been made up by this chasing pack. Daniel Salmon has been shuffled back to P6, as it seems there's a bit of a split in the fight. Moniz and Seitz falling back from Kranifus and Nikardembev in that battle for second place. They sort themselves out into turn 3. Good to see. So there's moves happening a bit further back. Morris, McDonald and Benvalid in 7th, 8th and 9th. Clay Morris up 12 positions. John Benvalid up 11. It's been a fantastic start to the race for those two. Mark McDonald, meanwhile, struggling to move past that 9th place that he started this race in. But got to be gentle over the course of this one.
We did have Broomhead have a small incident as well and rotate. He was able to keep it off the wall and get back on track, but plenty of small incidents happening throughout the field.
Yeah, indeed. So let's keep our eyes peeled for any further moves here as we're about to reach the halfway point of the race. That's Kranifus and Nikardembev fighting again. The gap to Mitchell Green is not coming down as much as they would like. It does draw to within a second, though, on the way into 10A and 10B, so I think they might just be on the verge of getting the slipstream off the leader here. This is going to be a long and hard fight to get back to the front, but they are well on their way to doing it.
It looks like these two are really making a conscious decision to work together, so plenty of time left on the clock for these guys to get back up there. You know, it is nice to keep them out of draft in the lead, but driving up there can also be lonely as well. It tests your focus, tests your patience to kind of stay engaged with the race when there's no one else driving around you, keeping you involved in your mirrors. So I'm eager to see if Green can keep it up and keep these guys out of there.
Rightio, looks like the top 5 are now all classed as within a second of each other, and all it's going to take is a little extra working together from this group of 4, and they can catch that one guy up ahead. Mitchell Ian Green then, out of turn 7. How good is the exit? What kind of gains will be made here? Kranifus was all over the curb on the way out of turn 7 there, so he's maximising the exit as best he can.
Unfortunately for Zippy, it does look like he's continued to fall off. Soon to lose draft potentially. Going to act as a stepping stone for that next group coming up as well too. So, you know, going to have more battles here as the race develops in the mid pack, as some of those guys start to come into more slipstream.
Unfortunately, there's been problems further back in the field. Michael Broomhead has had to visit pit lane. It seems that he does have damage after all. If not that, then there was another incident for him. Richard Swindell's also making a visit to the pit lane, so 2 drivers who we would expect to be challenging for the top 10 at least will end up falling by the wayside. Swindell's down in 23rd place, but still on the lead lap. Here we go then. Looks like the front pack has caught up to Mitchell Green now, and Christian Moniz has been shuffled back. He tried to make his way past Kranifus and get into the top 3, but it was a great response from Kranifus to put him further back. Unfortunately, that's cost them both time, and it's allowed Nikardembev to be all on his lonesome chasing Mitchell Ian Green. There's going to be 3 laps to go at the end of this one. There is still time for them to fight back, but for the moment, this is where the fight is at for the win.
Yeah, unfortunately, as we talked about earlier in the evening, going too wide can kill the momentum of these slower cars. So very important for these guys to kind of file in and get working together to make sure that now that lead 2 pack doesn't drive away from them.
Look at the slipstream for Asad Nikardembev. That's how much benefit you get in the slipstream in these machines. And he will move through to the lead. How much of a fight back is there going to be from Mitchell Green? Oh, he almost tries outbraking Nikardembev, but there's just enough space for the 230 to sweep through and consolidate. And now there's a bit more of a gap that's formed here. Those 3 guys back there have been trying their best to sort themselves out, but now Moniz is the one who's found his way into P3. A little bit of biffing and barging through 10A and 10B there as we find our way through to turn 3 once again. Daniel Salmon shuffled back even further. He was in P6, but now Clay Morris and Mark McDonald, who have steadily been catching up, have made their way past him too. All it's going to take is a couple of extra moves like that, and I reckon Morris and McDonald will be right on the back of the lead pack here. They ran way faster. Mark McDonald, the fastest car on track there with a 128.9. Same for Clay Morris too. The guys up the front, the best they can do is a low 1 minute 29. So I think the fight is far from over here. The two we've got on screen at the moment could be a factor.
I don't doubt it, Reese. I do think, getting some slipstream off Zippy on that last lap did come into play a little bit with the lap times, but they are definitely running faster laps in the lead pack. Can't argue that. So looks like they're making their way here to the next stepping stone, and they'll be involved in no time.
Yeah, Mitchell Green there. It looks like he had a problem coming out of turn 7. He had no drive coming onto the straight, and he's fallen back to 7th now. So this is not ideal for the driver who's been leading the race for the longest time. We'll have to wait and see if he's got anything further to give here. He ran very close to getting a slowdown through 10A and 10B as well. Meanwhile, side by side up the front, Greg Seitz and Daniel Kranifus are trading spots there. Side by side between the teammates. Again, they don't want to get in the way. It's been a great run from Christian Muniz. Meanwhile, he's managed to catch right up to Asad Nikadembev. So the real-world driver in these very cars could be taking one of the victories here tonight. And the standings are certainly going to look interesting coming out of this one. But remember, all it takes is one moment of side-by-side between our leaders, and the two chasing groups will be right with them.
I think I speak for a lot of sim racers, Reese. I know myself, when I say I sit down in my sim rig, we try to make it as realistic as possible, and it's quite the investment in time and the financials of our hobby. So it's really exciting to be able to race with these real racers, and we always wish every time we sat down that we had a real race car like some of these guys do.
That was Paul Casamaja, who was spun off the grass there, and it looks like he's having trouble getting it going as the lead is on now. Asad Nikadembev keeping it from Christian Muniz to begin the penultimate lap of the race. Actually, no, to begin the final lap of the race. Here we go then. It's time. The top four are together. One problem, and it could be a podium at least for Mark McDonald and Clay Morris, who are a couple of seconds behind this fight. Nikadembev nails the run out of turn 1 there, and Seitz and Kranifus are trading spots again. Let's see if they can work together to mount an attack here, because at the moment, it looks like it's going to be between Nikadembev and Muniz.
Looks like Seitz and Kranifus have resorted to their battle for P3 back there as well.
Yeah, looks like it. Oh my goodness, they are pushing so hard out of turn 5. It looks like Muniz might have gotten a better run out of it than Nikadembev did, but he's not going to go for the move into turn 6. He knows as well as anyone, the best chance to get past is in the slipstream, down the back straight. Just need to nail the exit of turn 7, and it's a slightly better exit on the way out for Muniz, but he doesn't want to go for the move too early. He's going to bump draft Nikadembev a bit as they make their way down the straight. The slipstream is picked up by Seitz and Kranifus. This could complicate things. Side by side, has Christian Muniz pulled the trigger too early? Is he going to be able to keep the lead here with the massive momentum from the Rust Racing cars behind? He's going to block the advance of Greg Seitz. And there's contact between Seitz and Nikadembev. Neither of them spinning off as a result of that. And Nikadembev takes the lead back into the chicane. There's no chance for Muniz to fight back. So, with that all done, Asad Nikadembev is going to take the final victory of the night here at Road Atlanta. What an exchange between them there. Muniz shuffled back to 3rd with Greg Seitz putting his car in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. What a finish.
Beautiful drive by these guys, Reese. Greg Seitz really able to capitalize in the last couple corners and managed to get himself on the second step of the podium as well. Muniz, real life driver and a podium for himself as well tonight, so he should be happy and getting ready for a good season here with these guys.
Looking forward to seeing what more Christian Muniz can do here with a win and 2/3 from the night's running. Nikadembev, what a recovery from where he was in race 1. Remember, Asad started in 8th and finished in 15th in race 1. Managed to work his way back to 4th for race 2. And ultimately comes away with the win in race 3. And it looks like with that, we're just waiting on Richard Swindells to cross the line, and we'll be able to go through the results. An unfortunate run for Swindells. He had fought up very nicely, but ultimately coming away with an unscheduled visit to pit lane. He will finish higher than where he started from 24th to 20th, but ultimately that's going to be all he can do for the moment. Out of the final corner for Adam Greenspoon as well, who's had a very tough night, it has to be said. He was unfortunately languishing down in those lower positions and involved in some of the incidents that happened further back in the field tonight. So with that, our final results for this night of racing. Assad Nakadambev finishing 2/10 ahead of Greg Seitz in the end. Christian Moniz rounds out your podium with Cranifus and Morris, your top 5. Mark McDonald gets P6, and with a 5th, a 2nd, and a 6th. Not quite the start that the reigning champion would have wanted for his season. Very solid drive from Daniel Salmon to hold on to P7 in the midst of all of that. Obviously, he wasn't interested in fighting the leaders too hard. He just kept his nose clean and got a good result out of it. Benvalid, Pagadala, and McLean round out your top 10. A great recovery from Ariane Pagadala all the way from 2nd last up to 9th. Clovis Girard finishes in P11 ahead of Robert Covey, who finishes where he started in 12th. Good run up the field from Chad Ritchie, 22nd to 13th. That is 9 positions gained. Tyler Scarali finishes in 14th place ahead of Nicholas Colander, who managed to make it from outside the top 20. Sam Triantopoulos finishing in 16th place with Mileman in 17th. Yona Oralbert and Wyatt Cormier 18th and 19th. Our top 20 rounded out by Richard Swindell's last car on the lead lap. And then 1 lap down for Michael Broomhead, Cedric O'Hyan, and Adam Greenspoon, all of them having big issues. And Broomhead and O'Hyan in particular were expected to be big factors in the battle up front. Mitchell Green, what a shame for him. He ended up having to visit pit lane, it looks like, after his unfortunate off at turn 7 that really killed his momentum down the back straight. So the man who started, who was leading for quite some time, will get no such result from tonight's races today. Paul Casamajor, Jonathan Bekazin, and Ozzy Milwane round out your field. It looks like Milwane did not take to the start for the final race of the evening. So that will move us through into driver interviews. The first one we're going to talk to is, of course, Assad Nikadambev, who joins us now. Great drive, Assad. It's looking like you're going to be a big factor in this season going forward. But the turnaround from race 1 to this one was certainly worth talking about. Can you talk us through how your night went?
Yeah, I mean, with most of my races, I mean, I have a lot of roller coasters of a race. I mean, this race, it was almost a carbon copy of some of the other races I've had, where race 1, I have a crash. I'm like in the bottom end of the field. Second race, I recover, and the third race, I managed to be at the front. I mean, that's basically the story of today. I mean, just recovering and risk management from after race 1. It was just trying to reduce the amount of risk that I had to race with people and to not crash anymore and to have clean results.
Yes, indeed. You're going to have to really get on it here with how competitive the top of the field is. It's once again a season where we have multiple drivers in contention every single race.
Yep, I think this season will be the most competitive season that I will drive in BIS. I mean, there's so many competitive drivers. It's so close. It's just going to be insane. It's going to be so fun.
Absolutely, it is. Well, we're going to Silverstone for round number 2 in, I believe, a couple of weeks' time, if not 3 weeks' time, depending on scheduling. So we'll wish you the best of luck for that one, Assad. And thank you very much for joining us. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. Thank you, Reese.
Well, Assad Nikadambev will come away with victory there. Next up, reigning champion of the series, Mark McDonald. Didn't quite have the night that you wanted there. You did manage to get onto the podium in race 2, but it's looking like typical round 1 gremlins affecting just about everybody.
Yeah, hey Reese, great to see you. Didn't expect to get pulled into an interview. I was just chatting with Zippy and Mike there. but no, it was a great round overall. The Rust Racing team came in all of our colorful cone liveries, which I got to thank Dan Cranifus for. Really awesome liveries for everyone, and we were super excited to see him, working on those and getting them up for us. No, it was an okay first round. I wouldn't say great by any means. This track is very difficult for a first round. There's so much drafting. It's really easy to make a mistake and touch somebody in the last chicane, especially. That happened in probably all of the races, I'm sure. I got on the podium in the second one because, again, there was contact in the last chicane. I was gonna pull a really cool 4 wide move, and then I was like, no, this will never work. I'm already in the grass. I'm just gonna go straight here, which worked out for me, surprisingly. But it was a ton of fun being able to run with everyone. Great to have the rest of my Rust Racing team members, participate with me. There's definitely some frustrations, on the team chat along the way, but great fun was had by everybody, and I'm super excited for the rest of the rounds and for the series to be back.
As are we. And speaking of Rust Racing, you guys have managed to get the services of Greg Seitz for this season. I believe he was part of the Reboot Racing crew last F1600 season. What has he brought to the team?
Okay, that's just to correct you there. He was never on Reboot. Unless he's running there somewhere else, but Rust is his original creation from years and years and years back. What we are focused on, I think, fits really well with BIS and with this series in particular. We're all mostly dads or, in our middle age or more advanced, and we are casual racers who like to put in a lot of, serious practice and serious racing, but having a good time and not taking ourselves too seriously. So it fits in with everybody that runs in this series. There's so many really good drivers and really good personalities who understand, it's serious, it's fun, we're all competing, and it's great to win. But in that race, if you got a second or a fifth or an eighth, you probably had a really great race, because there's plenty of guys that spun out or crashed or ran into something. So just a bunch of fun, and it's great that Greg's back on the sim and joining us for these. We didn't know if he was going to be able to join us, but it's great to have him leading us and have the great camaraderie of everyone practicing throughout the week and then jumping into the races.
Yeah, indeed. Well, congratulations on the start of another season, Mark. We wish you the best of luck for future rounds. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Huge shout out to my wife and kids for giving me the extra 30 minutes before their bedtime to pop down to the sim, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Mark McDonald there. And looks like before we have a chat to our race admin, we're going to bring Zippy back in, because we actually have a legit reason to interview you, Zippy. You're the AM winner. AM winner for the race with a P7 finish from pole. Great stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to say that the finishing P10 in race 2 was completely planned. It was part of my race winning strategy. I'd also like to say I'm full of it. It was a good race. Honestly, when I pulled away a second at the start, and I'm like, yes, I've got this. And very quickly, shortly after, I'm like, I don't got this, and just try to hold on. Just try to keep my nose clean, try and stay in there. The guys were honestly so quick, and I will say this, they were very respectful. I realized it's one of them things where I didn't really belong there, but I kind of did. So I just tried to hold on for what I could. But yeah, it was good to be in the car and have a good race. It's been a long while since I've had a good race. Certainly my endurance racing escapades have not gone well. My second to last one, I got a chat ban. Thank you for that. But top tip, ladies and gentlemen, do not offer to pay somebody $5 to take someone else out in an endurance race. It's apparently frowned upon. But no, other than that, I mean, it was great. It was good to represent Lima as well. Good to represent Pit Road Productions. Indeed, Podium won it as well. Much love to those guys, and a huge thank you to Morgan Smith for making that paint. It's hopefully you guys saw it on the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to paint, hit up Morgan Smith, your commentator, who's actually covering me today as well in the show, and of course Reese Gardner, who's just an absolute legend. Christian Delgado behind the scenes.
Absolutely, Zippy. Well, you've driven Road Atlanta. I think I might have to take a trip outside of the comms box and drive at Phillip Island. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on that front. But congratulations on your result there. I suppose I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Except I'll be sharing a comms box with you again.
Yeah, sorry about that, Reese. But yeah, definitely. Honestly, I've not asked Mike yet. I'm sure we can convince him to let you in the in for a round. I think that would be a fair game. You've been here for actually just as long as me, if not a little bit longer. So certainly, I like having a Pit Road Productions, commentator in every race as well. So maybe we can swing it. Morgan, you might have to do some driving as well, bud. Would that be all right with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was taking a close look at that Radical. I'm not sure if Formula 16's, and I'm honestly just not sure I'd be competitive with a list of drivers like this. I don't want to embarrass myself, but maybe with some seat time, I could take a look at the Radical and bring up the rear and play caboose for the season.
Oh, there you go. Reese, you should do what you need to do, buddy, because we know I can talk. That's why I'm a commentator.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, congratulations, Zippy, on the result. We're going to move through to Mike Broomhead to close off the show here. Well, I think all up a successful first round, Mike. There was a fair share of big incidents throughout the field, but I think that's par for the course for this series. It's highly competitive, and everyone's on a knife edge the whole way through.
Yeah, it's a bit close for comfort a lot of the time, and I think you can say give space all you want, but we're racers at the end of the day. We're going to go for that gap, and we're going to put the car where maybe it shouldn't be and take risks, right? So these cars, they race very well. They race very well close. It doesn't go right if you touch each other, as Morris found out, as a few of the other guys in Rust found out. I found out as well. So, that's why these 3 races all together are fantastic, because you don't know who's going to win. Anybody could have a good race, anybody could have a bad race, and you just go all out. It's so much fun.
Absolutely, yes. We had a lot of fun up here in the commentary box as well. So, Morgan, to close things off, your thoughts coming out of this round. The season ahead is looking to be quite the competitive one. No clear front runner ahead of everyone else at the moment. There's multiple drivers in contention.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting season. I'm very excited to have been here for the first race of the season. And I've been a part of BIS briefly in the past, but the more I watch, the more I want to get involved and be a part of the community. So shout out to Mike, bringing on the sponsors, making the community that he has. I know a lot of guys with great talent call this place home. So it's just a pleasure to be able to stick my toes in for the little bit that I can, and hopefully be able to grow into the role here.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for watching on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel. We want to give a huge thanks to Toyo Tires on board with the title sponsorship, as well as Rogue Energy, a longtime supporter of BIS. You would have seen their ad in the warm-up. And we do appreciate the drivers and the team at BIS Sim Leagues for getting all of this together once again for another great season of F1600 racing. Radical Cup Canada is going to be starting next week, I believe. So we're going to be having a great deal of hard professional racing going on here in the Canadian sim scene. So keep your eyes peeled on the various channels for any updates on what is to come. Basically, a Wednesday night is where you want to be if you want some good sim racing action. I'm Reese Gardner, Morgan Smith alongside me in the comms box, and Christian Delgado behind the scenes. We are Pit Road Productions, and we will see you next time.